The 24 Hours of Le Mans, a proving ground for the fastest cars in the world, where fast and great cars become legendary with cult status. Normally, the podiums of the 24 Hours of Le Mans are filled with European cars. But in 1991, Mazda were able to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans with their 787B, making them the only Japanese brand to accomplish this feat. Part of the reason why Mazda were so good in this race was their engine, and there's no doubt that this engine is super unique. Mazda used their rotary engine that appeared in cars of the RX-7. Let's go back to the start of the rotary to see how it helped Mazda. The rotary engine was created by Felix Wankel, a German engineer during World War II. Even though the rotary is now seen as an oil-leaking and an engine that breaks down, the rotary was revolutionary because it had just 3 moving parts, compared to the dozens of moving parts for each cylinder on a traditional engine. So at the end of World War II, the rotary was seen as the future of engines, the power to all cars of the future. So Mazda bought into this idea. They brought home the rights to bring the Wankel rotary to Japan. But why did they want the rotary so bad? You see, Japan after World War II was having a horrible economic situation. To survive, they merged many companies together. And Mazda was about to be one of those companies that would get merged. But they believed that if they got this new technology, they wouldn't get merged to another company. At this time, it was already known that rotaries were horrible. They were unreliable, their movement was strange, and couldn't be fixed by a mechanic who wasn't experienced with rotaries. They also burn oil faster than gas, and they definitely wouldn't be described as efficient when it came to gas. But the Mazda engineers thought that they'd be able to fix these issues with the rotary. But they quickly found out one of the biggest issues with the rotary: devil's fingerprints. They are caused by vibrating apex seals. Instead of giving up, realizing that the rotary was an engine full of issues, Mazda created aluminum carbon composite apex seals. With new fuel ratios, it didn't use nearly as much oil, and with more rotaries, the low-end torque was fixed as well. So, Mazda put the rotary into a production car.
世界最初の2ローターロータリーエンジンを搭載したマツダコスモスポーツ、ロータリーエンジンのコスモスポーツ。
The Cosmo, a car that looked fast, and the only thing about it that was fast was its looks. The car could barely reach 100, and it got up to 60 in 8 seconds. But the car was light, and it could handle well, so Mazda took the car racing. They took it to the 84 Hours of the Ring, a race that took place in the Nürburgring in Germany. In the 4-day event, the Cosmo's reliability shined, and it was able to pick up a 4th place finish for its first race ever. In 1970, Mazda would go to Le Mans for the first time. The Chevron B16, a car that Mazda produced in combination with the Chevron in England. It used the rotary engine that Mazda had produced, with the body of a Citroën. Then Mazda would create a few Group C junior cars. These with 2 rotors, the 717, the 727, and the 737. All of these cars basically had the same engine from the RX-7 at the time. And there's probably a reason you don't hear about them that much. They didn't really do anything remarkable. When Mazda created the next generation of Group C race car, the 757, Mazda put the different engine in the car. They had another rotor to make the car have 3 rotors. Then the 76 engine. This had a 4-rotor engine, and this is when Mazda realized how good rotary technology could be in racing. In 1990, Mazda entered 2 787s alongside one of the older generation of the 767B. The new 787s had the highest placement with 5th before it was disqualified for having oversized fuel cells. This meant that the highest finish in 1990 was a middle of the pack 10th place. Not bad, but nothing notable. With multiple electrical and mechanical issues to the 787, Mazda knew that they had to improve the car. And with a rule change that would ban rotaries at the end of the next season, this would be the last chance for Mazda engineers to prove the rotary correct. This was Mazda's deadline. By the next season, Mazda rolled out the 787B, very similar to the 787, but with a few minor tweaks. These minor tweaks made the 787 perform noticeably better over the 787, even knocking a few seconds off laps on tracks in Japan. The car would be entered into some races where it would have some good finishes, but nothing remarkable. So Mazda engineers moved their focus to the biggest event of the season, the 24 hours of Le Mans, especially since this might be their last chance to achieve glory at this prestigious event. When the day of the race came, Mazda would run 3 cars, one of the older 787s and 2 of the brand new 787Bs. The other teams that were favorites were driving cars that were much faster, like the Mercedes C291 and the Jaguar XJR14. These cars were favorites to win because they had won the 24 Hours of Le Mans in last years, and they were running the fastest laps in qualification. Mazda would normally race pretty conservative, but the day before the big race, this strategy would be dropped. The 787B brought so much confidence to the whole team, and especially the team leader Ohashi, who told the drivers to drive the whole race like it was a sprint. This was a huge gamble, because it would test the car's reliability and fuel efficiency. Although this decision was probably made out of desperation, not out of skillful planning, seeing that this would be their last time to prove that all the money that they put into developing the rotary was worth it. But this gamble would pay off, and pay off big time, and the Mazda would shockingly finish the 24 Hours of Le Mans in first place. This would not be due to amazing driving, or the car being the fastest. Yeah, they weren't slow, and the drivers weren't bad either, but they won due to a few lucky events going their way. Mazda was in third place, with the 2 Mercedes in front of them. When the Mercedes that was in second place went off the track, and had to retire this race because it had gearbox damage. This put the 787B in second place, behind the other Mercedes. But the other Mercedes would also have mechanical issues and have to retire.
At 12:54, the Mercedes has said its final word. The victory hopes end. The engine overheats, it's over for the one. Shattered, Alain Ferté, Jean-Louis Schlesser and Jochen Massa impotent as they see the Mazda 55 move into the lead.
So this put the Mazda 787B in first, with the 2 Jaguars trailing behind. But the Jaguars were also have mechanical issues, and this allowed the 787B to cross the finish line first, after doing 5,000 kilometers, a record for the new configured track, proving that reliability can sometimes be better than speed at Le Mans. And more importantly for Mazda, proving that rotaries could win at the biggest stage.
This 24 hours was of special importance. The powerful 700 horsepower rotary engine will be banned from next year, and Mazda owed it to themselves to put in a memorable performance.
Mazda did the impossible at Le Mans, beating the Mercedes and the Jaguars and many other cars that were expected to beat the Mazda. But this has led to a common misconception to start. The rotary was not banned because it was too fast, and the other manufacturers couldn't compete. This is not true. Many people believe that the rotary was banned after this race, after this season, because it was just too fast. This is not true. I stated earlier that Mazda knew that this was their last chance. The rotary was going to be banned a few years earlier, but Mazda pushed back to work on other engine technology and give the rotary one last chance and prove that it was able to win against all odds, proving that Mazda, that put all that money that they spent on the rotary in development, might have slightly paid off.